Welcome back, although it feels like I should be saying morning all. So tonight I went to a concert. We saw the Standstills, then we saw the Warning, and then we saw 3 Days Grace, and all three bands were very good. It is rare for me to see a concert where I enjoy all three bands pretty much equally, but here we are. And so I got some new music I'm going to be listening to on Spotify and a couple of CDs I ordered because we're old, so we like to have physical copies of music. But anyways, so that's why the review is late. I didn't watch the hockey tonight. I did keep track of what was going on my phone. I did hear about what happened with Evander Kane with the skate over his wrist from Pat Maroon. Evander Kane has been in the news for a lot of reasons, but right now, the only reason that matters is he's in the hospital, he's injured, he's in stable condition, and so we don't know how long it's going to take for him to come back, but that's not the concern right now. The important thing is, it was an arterial bleed. Those are extremely scary, and I'm really glad he's okay because that can go south very, very quickly. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and start the review. Looking first at Arizona and Buffalo. Arizona doesn't know how to go away, do they? This hardworking team is going to make sure that they don't draft Bedard from the looks of things. And for Buffalo, this is exactly what Buffalo doesn't need, right? So it was Vejmelka versus Comrie in this one. It is Kraus that scores from Michelli at 23 seconds. Doesn't take very long for Arizona to get on the board. On the power play, Tage Thompson ties it up from Dahlin and Quinn at 14:25. But before the period's out, it's another power play marker for Arizona. It's Michelli from Valimaki and Hayden at 17:30. There was no scoring in the second period. Third period, ahead by one. O'Brien adds the insurance goal from Mosier and Keller at 2:24. The shots are really suppressed in that third period, and the next goal is an empty netter by Keller from O'Brien and Boyd at 17:50. So for Buffalo, this is a huge setback. They dropped to 7-6. This is exactly what they don't need, right? They got that really good start. They looked really good. Now they lose to Arizona, who are now 5-6-1. Again, do not take Arizona lightly. They will beat you. 3 stars are Vejmelka, Michelli, and Keller. The shots, 13-7 Buffalo in the first, 14-11 Buffalo in the second. Both teams had 6 shots in the third. Final shots, 33-24 for Buffalo. Power plays, Arizona 1 for 3, Buffalo 1 for 4. The hits were 15-12 in favor of the Coyotes. Vejmelka saves 32 out of 33. Comrie saves 20 out of 23. So Vejmelka steals one, but for Buffalo, really frustrating result. And so that's 3 straight losses for the Buffalo Sabres. We'll see how they turn this around. Speaking of teams needing to turn things around, the Calgary Flames are absolutely in one, aren't they? It was Markstrom versus Vanacek in this one, and Calgary does open the scoring. It's Kadri on the power play from Anderson and Lindholm at 11:58. So after the first period, Calgary's up 1-0. But in the second, New Jersey being New Jersey and all, Graves scores from Hischier and Tatar at 5:14. Isn't it interesting that I'm saying New Jersey being New Jersey and all, and it's in a good way? Feels different, doesn't it? And then on the power play, it's Hamilton from Zetterlund and Brad at 16:37. That makes it 2-1 for New Jersey after 2. Now in the third period, Calgary gets a power play. They score on it. It's Toffoli from Anderson and Ruzicka at 5:13, meaning no goals 5-on-5 for Calgary against New Jersey. Now, it doesn't stay tied till the end of the third, of course, because at 11:50, the third period, it is Hischier who scores from Hamilton and Tatar. So multiple points for Hamilton, for Hischier, for Tatar. Tatar's not getting the goals, but at least he's getting the helpers, and he got the helper on the winner. New Jersey goes to 10-3 with a 3-2 victory. Calgary drops to 5-5-2. It has been rough for Calgary. I have to say, though, as a Canucks fan, thanks to the Alberta teams for having their struggles and making it look like Vancouver's got some hope. So your 3 stars in this one, Hischier, Hamilton, and Vanacek. The shots, 14-5 Calgary in the first, 10-9 New Jersey in the second, 12-5 Calgary in the third. So unlike every New Jersey game that we've been reviewing lately, they actually get outshot 35-20 in this one, and they still win it. The power plays, 2 for 4 for Calgary, 1 for 5 for New Jersey. The hits, 27-21 for Calgary. Markstrom saves 17 out of 20. Vanacek saves 33 out of 35. And that's one way for Vanacek to ease some minds about the fact that Blackwood's hurt for the next 3 to 6 weeks. So, good all-around effort there. Next up, New York Islanders in against the New York Rangers. So, this one looked like the Rangers were going to win it, and then they didn't. It's Varlamov versus Shesterkin in this one. On the power play, the Islanders would open the scoring at 6:04. It's Palmieri from Pollock and Bailey. So that gives the Islanders the lead, but the Rangers would tie it up. At 11:36, it's Hedel from Miller and Fox. So there's Fox with another helper. His points totals are still very good. But in the second period, on the power play, the New York Rangers start to assert themselves. Kreider on the power play from Panarin and Trocheck at 22 seconds. And then at 13:47, also a power play goal. It's Trocheck from Panarin and Zibanejad. So it's 3-1 Rangers after 2. And honestly, if I'd been watching this, I would have said, well, the Rangers have got themselves back on track. The Islanders are all of a sudden team comeback, though. First, it's Pelech at 14 seconds from Palmieri and Parise. So that's 3 names that start with P. Nice, well done. Then on a power play, so PPG, at 12:46 is Nelson from Dobson and Barzal. So Dobson on the board, Barzal with another assist. It's all he does is get assists. At some point he'll get a goal, but it's kind of funny to watch, right? So that ties it up at 3. It does not stay tied for long. At 14:30, it's Lee from Romanov, and the Islanders win this one 4-3. They go to 9-5 on the season. Yeah, the very good start for the Islanders. For the Rangers, 6-5-3 with the loss. They've started to struggle again. Very up and down team, the Rangers. 3 stars are Palmieri, Lee, and Trocheck. The shots 14-12 Rangers in the first, 17-6 Rangers in the second, 9-8 Rangers in the third. Final shots 40-26 for the Rangers. Power plays, the Islanders 2 for 3, the Rangers 2 for 4. Hits 31-18 for the Rangers. Varlamov saves 37 out of 40, so very good game for him. Shesterkin saves 22 out of 26, so 4 goals on 26 shots. Islanders were very smart in their shots. So we'll see if the Rangers can get this turned around. But again, for the Islanders, well, they don't really care if the Rangers turn around. They kind of enjoy what's going on here, right? So we'll see if they can continue it. Next up, St. Louis in Philadelphia. So I'm wearing Philly because Philly, again, they refuse to go away. And again, this is maybe what we're going to see under Tortorella, where this team is going to win games and keep winning enough that they stay in the hunt for the playoffs. And that's really all you can ask for as a Philly fan, right? Don't say Connor Bedard. Don't. So first period, no scoring. Greiss and Sandstrom were the goaltenders in this one. Remember, Sandstrom coming into tonight had never won a game in the NHL. Second period, the Flyers decide they want to get him that win. Allison scores first from Provorov and Farabee at 10-11. And then at 16:37, it's Konechny from Tippett and Hayes. And then at 19:57, it's Noah Cates. Now I'm going to put the N for Noah Cates because sometimes Jackson's in the lineup, sometimes he's in the AHL. I know. But just to be on the safe side, I'll put Noah Cates just in case. Sanheim and Lawton with the assists at 19:57. So nice to see Sanheim on the board there. But it's 3-0 Philadelphia after 2. St. Louis is in deep trouble. Now at 5:22 of the third, St. Louis does get on the board. And it's O'Reilly who needs to get going from Barbashev and Leddy. So those are 3 guys who need to get the scoring going. Problem is that's the only goal St. Louis gets. Sedlak gets his first of the season from Sealer and Noah Cates at 6:44. And then in 19:21, it is Tippett who ends this from Konechny and makes it a 5-1 score. So for Philadelphia, they're 7-3-2 with the win. For St. Louis, that's 8 losses in a row in regulation. This is a team that does not lose 8 in a row in regulation. And at some point in time, I know St. Louis fans don't want to hear it, but Berube's job becomes a discussion point, right? So he gets a lot of leeway and he gets a lot of forgiveness because he won them the cup in 2019. I don't think they win it if he's not the coach. But at some point in time, something's got to happen with the losing, right? So your 3 stars in this, Sandstrom, congratulations on his first win. Noah Cates and Konechny, the other 2 stars. Your shots, 18-9 Philadelphia in the first, 9-7 Philadelphia in the second, 12-8 St. Louis in the third. Final shots, 35-28 for the Flyers. Power plays, St. Louis 0 for 2, Philadelphia 0 for 1. The hits, 39-34 for Philly. Greiss saves 30 out of 35. Sandstrom saves 27 out of 28. So good game for Sandstrom. He's had a couple of good games. He just hasn't had the results. Now he's got to win. We'll see if he can get a run going because if you have both goalies going, odds are Philadelphia stays in the hunt. All right, let's go ahead and change boards. Now, with Vancouver, they're 4-3-3 in their last 10 games with this result tonight. They do seem to be getting it together, but it's kind of sloppy at the same time. So I'm really still waiting on a really good full 60-minute game where the score at the end you don't look at and say, I don't know if that's sustainable against a really good team. So it was Martin versus Talbot in this one. Martin had his best game of the season tonight. Batherson would open the scoring at 50 seconds, though, for Ottawa from DeBrincat and Bernard Docker. Now, DeBrincat's not getting goals, but he's getting helpers, so he is getting on the board for Ottawa. Horvat ties it from Bear and Rathbone at 19:07, but this is what drives me crazy. 16 seconds later, Hamonic puts Ottawa back in the lead from Stützle. It is those letdown goals after they get a goal that have been hurting Vancouver for, how old am I? For as long as that. So it's 2-1 Ottawa after the first. Second period, the only goal in the second was from Mikheyev. Hughes and Pettersson with the assists at 13:50. So nice to see Pettersson getting on the board there. And so it's 2-2 after 2. Third period, Vancouver. Horvat scores from Garland at 1:16. So that is his second goal of the game. He has 12 goals in his first 13 games. The last Canuck to get 12 goals in his first 13 games was Pavel Bure in 92-93. Proving once again I was following what was going on tonight, right? So I don't bring whiteboards to concerts. They frown on bringing 3 whiteboards into a concert. They generally won't allow that, and it won't fit in my wallet. So at 8:18, Vancouver scores again. It's Ekman Larson from Garland and Besser. So Garland with a couple of helpers. Besser gets an assist. Now initially I saw a goal for Besser. I guess they took it away from him. Dagnabbit. But, so he still doesn't have a goal yet, but at least he gets on the board with an assist. So it's 4-2, and this is where the Canucks make me nervous. Stützle scores on the power play from DeBrincat at 14:03. Now the Canucks would answer on the next shift with Studnicka getting a goal at 14:59. Be nice to see some more goals from the bottom 6 for the Canucks. But then on a power play, it's Giroux from Sanderson at 17:09. So the penalty kill is still letting the Canucks down. That is still a huge red flag. But when pulling the goalie, the Canucks take advantage. They do get the empty netter. It's Pettersson from Miller and Myers at 19:15. Vancouver wins 6-4. They go to 4-6-3 with the win. And again, teams in their division aren't exactly pulling away unless they're named Vegas. The Ottawa Senators 4-8 on the season. Your 3 stars: Horvat, Martin, and Batherson. Shots 16-8 Ottawa in the first, 19-8 Ottawa in the second, 12-6 Vancouver in the third. That's how you steal a game on the road. Final shots 41-28 for Ottawa. Power plays, Vancouver 0 for 3, Ottawa 2 for 5. So special teams are still hurting the Canucks. Hits 25-24 Ottawa. Martin saves 37 out of 41, and Talbot saves 22 out of 27. So for Ottawa, this is a tough loss. This, again, you have to win at home against Vancouver. This is a game you need. It's like the Philadelphia game. You need to win that at home. They're not getting the wins when they need them. And it feels like, much like I said about St. Louis earlier, this just keeps snowballing in the wrong direction for them. All right, next up, Vegas. The Vegas Golden Knights, this is their pattern now. And it's a pattern that they seem to be pretty good at dating back to their first year. Thompson versus Shalgren in this one. Raw would score in the first minute, 45 seconds in from Carrier. Liljegren would tie it. He scores from Kampf and Aston Reese at 5:05. But Eichel would restore the lead for Vegas before the period's out from Stone and Stevenson at 17:55. So it's 2-1 Vegas after 1. But Toronto shows some fight back. First is Marner from Matthews and Sandin at 13:50. So Marner must have seen me mentioning on Twitter he doesn't get goals all the time, and so he gets a goal there. Liljegren then scores to put him in the lead. So his second goal of the game from Marner and Riley. So Marner with a goal and an assist. And that's at 16:56. Toronto is the lead entering the third, but Vegas is lethal in the third period. This is what Vegas does. Smith scores shorthanded. Gets a shorthanded goal from Carlson and McNabb at 11:43. This is in Riley Smith's 700th career game. So that ties it up. And then in the overtime, it's Smith that gets the goal from Theodore and Carlson at 23 seconds. So William Carlson with a couple of helpers there. And again, the Misfits are keeping Vegas above water. Well above water. 12-2 now on the season. They're playing fantastic. Toronto drops to 7-4-3 with the overtime loss. But again, I don't think there's any shame in losing in overtime against Vegas. Your 3 stars are Smith, Liljegren, and Eichel. So I wouldn't see this as a big setback for Toronto. Your shots 8-7 Vegas in the first, 15-5 Toronto in the second, 9-6 Toronto in the third. Just the one shot in the overtime for Vegas. That's the one that matters. Final shots 31-20 for Toronto. Power plays, both teams 0 for 2. The hits 42-34 in favor of Vegas. Thompson saves 28 out of 31. Shalgren saves 16 out of 20. But again, Vegas does tend to make goaltender save percentages look kind of bad, so I'm not going to read too much into the 16 for 20. And it wouldn't really matter because Petruzzelli's the backup until Murray's ready, which might be this weekend, or Samsonov comes back, and there's still uncertainty with how long Samsonov might be out. So we shall see. Next up, Montreal and Detroit. Montreal will not go away either. So while I talked about Arizona on the first board, Montreal's not going away either. These players do not care if their team gets to draft Connor Bedard. Darndest thing. So it's Allen versus Husso, and it's Hoffman who has been really having a hard time. The advanced stats would tell you Hoffman's been playing well, and his expected goals are way above what he's been getting. And tonight he starts getting those. It's Hoffman from Gallagher and Harris at 541. Now Detroit ties it, and it's Zarnik with his first goal with Detroit. He scores from Kubalik and Kopp at 16-20-29. But then in the final minute of the period, it is Hoffman with the second goal of the period from Gallagher and Dvorak at 19:44. It's 2-1 Montreal after one. They enjoyed that so much. There was no scoring in the second, so it's 2-1 after two. In the third period, this is where the fight back from Detroit shows up, and Raymond would tie it from Suter and Hronik at 10:37. The overtime saw 7 shots. None of them go in the net, so both goalies had good games. We're forced to go to a shootout where Montreal wins this. Caulfield and Suzuki with the goals because, of course, your 3 stars here, Allen, Suzuki, and Hoffman. I was going to go to the records. I went down here instead. It's a little after 1 in the morning, so I apologize. 20 after 1, actually. So the shots, 16-8 Detroit in the first, 14-9 Detroit in the second, 12-10 Montreal in the third, and they outshoot Detroit 4-3 in the overtime. Final shots, 43-33 for Detroit. Power plays, 0-for-1 for Montreal, 0-for-7 for Detroit. So that might be a talking point for Coach Lalonde, tomorrow. Power plays, when you get 7 of them, you have to score at least once. Hits, 22-13 for Detroit. Allen saves 41 out of 43. Husso saves 31 out of 33. Now Montreal goes back to 500. They're 6-6-1. For Detroit, they're 7-3-3. They're getting some results here, but they're finding setbacks there too, and it is unpredictable with Detroit what you're going to get from one night to the next. All right, next up. Last one on this board is Edmonton in against Tampa. And as I said at the beginning of this video, in case you skipped to the timestamp, I hope the best for Kane. I hope he's back playing as soon as possible. It was an ugly incident. I did see the video of the incident. I'm glad he's all right. So, Campbell versus Vasilevsky in this one, and Edmonton opens the scoring shorthanded. It's Fogle with his first of the year from McLeod at 7:45. But it doesn't stay 1-0 Edmonton for long. Tampa would tie it. It's Hagel from Kucherov and Point at 9:53. Hagel definitely seems to have it going right now. So it's 1-1 after one, but in the second period, the power play for Edmonton comes through. And it's McDavid that scores from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Barrie at 2:09, and then also a power play goal at 4:07, Draisaitl from McDavid and Hyman. So those 2 power play goals put Edmonton in the lead 3-1 after 2. Third period, Tampa makes it interesting early at 49 seconds. It is Killorn from Perbix and Point. That is as close as Tampa gets, despite the fact they had 15 shots in the third period. So, good game for Campbell. Your final score is 3-2. The Oilers go to 8-6 with a much-needed victory. Tampa Bay drops to 7-5-1 with a frustrating loss. The shots, 16-7 Tampa Bay in the first, 12-6 Edmonton in the second, 15-10 Tampa Bay in the third. Final shots, 37-29 for Tampa. Special teams aided Edmonton. This is how it's supposed to work. 2-for-4 on the power play. Tampa Bay was 0-for-5 on their power play. The hits, 33-25 Edmonton. Campbell saves 35 out of 37. Vasilevsky saves 26 out of 29. Your 3 stars in this one, McDavid, Point, and Campbell. So, there you go. That's how you get that done. And now, I need to change boards. All right, so Dallas is no longer first in the Central Division. That title now belongs to Winnipeg. And it might only last for a short while, but who cares? Winnipeg's first, right? So it's Wedgwood versus Hellebuck in this one. There was no scoring in the first. They make up for that in the second. At 3:06, Dallas gets the lead. It's Robertson from Hintz. So that's a good sign, right? No. Scheifele scores from Appleton and Connor 21 seconds later at 3:27. And then at 4:37, so a minute 10 later, Dubois scores from Perfetti and Wheeler. So this is, if I was watching all these games, this is the one where I'd be like, wait, there was another goal? Seriously? And then I have to go back to it. And then there'd be another, because at 6:12, it's Scheifele making it 3-1 from Connor and Appleton. So this is a game my wife would have enjoyed quite a bit to watch, but I think she enjoyed the 3 days grace. The lead singer got close enough, that she was taking video and she was all giddy. So I think she had a good time. But at 18-14, Manalainen had a good time too, because he gets his first goal of the season from Pionk and Morrissey, and then makes it 4-1 in favor of the Jets after 2. And in the third, it's Appleton into an empty net from Lowry and Connor at 17:02. Your final score is 5-1 for the now 8-3-1 Winnipeg Jets. Dallas drops to 8-4-1. Your 3 stars, Scheifele, Appleton, and Manalainen. So I'm glad to see Manalainen fitting in well with the Jets, and now giving him a little bit of depth scoring too. Your shots, 18-8 Winnipeg in the first, 10-7 Winnipeg in the second, 7-5 Dallas in the third. Final shots, 33-22 for Winnipeg. Power plays, both teams went 1-0 for 1. Hits, 24-23 for Dallas. Wedgwood saves 28 out of 32. Hellebuck saves 21 out of 22. And I know there was one of these goals for Winnipeg that was a fluke goal that went in off of one of Dallas's own players, so Wedgwood didn't have a chance. Again, to show that I was kind of following along, even while my ears would start ringing because of the music and all, but I was still following along with what was going on in hockey, and even, showing my wife, who I don't think really cared, because, 3 days grace, be quiet. Anyways, so next up is Seattle. This is getting kind of ridiculous, isn't it? So I said Seattle would be better this year, but they're actually looking like a good team right now, and I'm glad. Honestly, I'm glad. I think this is good. Saros versus Jones in this one, and boy, Seattle makes this one. Oh, I got that one upside down. I'm going to blame that on the fact that I haven't slept in a while. So, yeah, I fixed it. Eberle opens the scoring at 38 seconds. Players were scoring in first minutes of games tonight. It was the thing. He scores from Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand. Burakovsky had himself a game in the first period. At 7:29, he has a primary assist on Borgen's goal. Geekie with the other assist, so Geekie continues to score. Makes it 2-0. And before the period's out, well, they would add a couple more. At 15:16, it's Burakovsky from Wenberg. And at 16:25, it's Eberle. It's 4-0 after the first period. And so Nashville changes goaltenders, because what you do. Second period, at 10:25, Forsberg scores unassisted for Nashville. So, I mean, you're thinking, well, maybe, but in the third period, they don't manage to get another goal. Tanev hits the empty net from Gord at 18:49. And so, yeah, Nashville tries pulling the goalie down 3. They don't get one. Seattle wins this one 5-1. They're 8-4-2. Very good record for Seattle. Nashville 5-7-1 with the loss. Your 3 stars, Burakovsky, Eberle, and Borgen. The shots, 8-7 Nashville in the first, 11-5 Nashville in the second, 8-6 Seattle in the third. Final shots, 25-20 for Nashville. Power plays, Nashville 0 for 2. Seattle 0 for 1. Hits, 21-16 for Nashville. Saros saves 2 out of 6. Rough night for him. That's going to hurt the save percentage. But Lankinen saves all 13 in relief. Jones saved 24 out of 25. So Martin Jones is playing really well for Seattle, making it so that when goalies start getting healthy, it's kind of hard to argue against him being the guy for a while here. So, yeah, good on Jones. I'm very happy for him, and I'm very happy for the players in Seattle. They've put together a good team. I knew that they would improve with guys like Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand, but I had no idea that they'd be 8-4-2 at this point in the season. There are a lot of teams looking up at them right now in the standings, and who knows, if they manage to bank enough points early in the season, they could end up in the playoffs, which again, I would honestly enjoy that. I think that'd be fun. All right, last game of the night, and the one with the least amount of goals is Minnesota against LA. LA is very unpredictable. Minnesota can be as well. It was Fleury versus Quick in this one. There was no scoring in the first or the second period. So in the third, at 13:57, when I'm sure people watching this said, will there ever be a goal? Velarde emphatically says yes with his 10th of the season. Kopitar and Doughty with the assists. That's the scoring in that game. The Kings go to 8-6-1 with the win. Minnesota 5-6-1 in the loss. This is the second time they've been shut out in a week. So something's not working in Minnesota. Your 3 stars are Quick, Velarde, and Fleury, because that's how it works. It has to be the 2 goalies and the guy that got the goal. So that's how the 3 stars works in that situation. Your shots, 10-3 LA in the first. So Minnesota came out flat in the first. 9 shots apiece in the second. 11-9 were the shots for LA in the third. Final shots, 30-21 for LA. Power plays, Minnesota only had 1. Clearly didn't score on it. And LA was 0 for 4 on theirs. Hits were 31-25 for Minnesota. Fleury saves 29 out of 30. Had to feel angry that he didn't get any goal support on some level. Quick, 21 saves out of 21. And his 57th career shutout. So Jonathan Quick's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And games like tonight just further solidify that. So there you go. Much shorter than it would have been if I'd been here watching everything. No notes. The notes return tomorrow. And I'm home every day for games until we go see the LA-Vancouver game in 10 days. But that's the only game that's on that night. So I shouldn't have a problem keeping up with the action. If I do, I have serious problems. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. From me at 1:29 a.m., thank you guys again. And I always do this. It doesn't matter how late it is when I get home from whatever we're doing. I have to do the review before I go to bed because I can't sleep if I don't. Thanks again for all your support, guys. I'll talk to you in the morning.